You know that feeling when you're looking at a painting and it just hits you? You feel this connection, and then you hear someone talking about it being worth millions of dollars. It's like, are we even looking at the same thing? Today, we're going to peel back the canvas on the global art market. We're going to explore this really weird split between the art we love and the money that moves it. Let's get into it.
For a lot of us, art really does start with a feeling. You know? Take Impressionism. It's just easy to love. Like this Reddit user said, it feels contemporary, you can see what's going on, you can relate to it. It just connects on a really personal level.
And that's really the first art world, isn't it? The one we all live in. It's all about aesthetics, emotion, and that gut feeling you get when you see something an artist has poured their soul into. It's about beauty. It's about meaning.
Yeah, movements like Impressionism took off because they just threw out the old, stuffy rulebook. No more stiff academic paintings. This was about real life, capturing a quick moment. The light hitting the water, a crowd on a busy street. It was all about color and emotion. They made art that people could just look at and enjoy.
Okay, but that personal, emotional art world, it runs right alongside a totally different beast, the global art market. And right now, that market is telling a very, very strange story.
So first, just think about the sheer size of this thing. According to the latest Art Basel and UBS report, the global art market is worth a staggering $57.5 billion. That's not some niche hobby, right? That is a massive global industry. But here's the twist. For the second year in a row, the total value of that market actually went down. It shrank by 12%, so what on earth is going on?
And that's the big puzzle we're tackling. If we all love art, if more people are connecting with it than ever before, why are the big, flashy numbers going down? To figure this out, we've got to look a little closer at what the market is actually made of. And the answer, it turns out, is in the main finding from that Art Basel report. See, the art market, it's not one thing. It's really two completely separate markets, and they are heading in totally opposite directions.
So at the very top, we're talking pieces that sell for over $1 million. Buyers are getting nervous. They're being more cautious. So you have fewer of those huge blockbuster sales, and that drags the total value down. But at the other end, for art under $50,000, the actual number of sales is booming. The data really shows you how crazy this split is. The value of art sold at auction for over $10 million, it plunged by 45%. But at the same time, the number of sales under $5,000, that grew by 13%. So the story is pretty clear. Fewer mega-rich people buying mega-expensive art, but way more regular people buying affordable stuff.
And here's a little inside baseball from a dealer in the report. They said that wealthy collectors are just playing it safe right now. They're not looking for the next big, challenging, unknown artist. Nope. They want a name they've already heard of, a blue chip, sure thing. And that caution is what's really cooling things off at the top.
And if all that wasn't complicated enough, the whole market is also dealing with two huge new forces that have absolutely nothing to do with paint or canvas: global politics and digital technology.
The whole political vibe is shifting. The report talks about this move towards something called zero-sum mercantilism. Basically, instead of working together, countries are starting to think more like, for me to win, you have to lose. And that kind of thinking, well, it leads to a lot more friction when it comes to trade.
And this isn't just some abstract theory. It means real-world problems. We're seeing new tariffs on art going between the US, China, and Europe. It's making shipping more expensive, it's adding a ton of paperwork, and it's messing up the global flow that the art market really relies on, especially for things like prints and photos.
But it's not just politics creating new headaches. As art itself goes digital, it's running into a whole new kind of problem. The world of NFTs, which remember just exploded a few years ago, is now showing a pretty major crack in its foundation. So here's how it works. When you buy an NFT, what you're really buying is a receipt, a record of ownership that lives on the blockchain. But the art itself, the actual image file, that's almost never on the blockchain. It's just sitting on some server somewhere. And if the marketplace that put it there goes out of business and stops paying its server bill, that link can break, and your artwork, it could literally just disappear.
And this is a huge deal. As one expert, Gauthier Zupinger, pointed out, a lot of the artists themselves had no idea.
In the rush to make things easy for buyers, nobody really thought about the fact that the long-term survival of their art depended on the business plan of some tech startup.
So, we've got a split market. We've got new risks from politics and tech. Where does the art world possibly go from here? Well, the answer might actually lie in one of the biggest financial shifts in human history.
Get ready for what they're calling the Great Wealth Transfer. Over the next 2 decades, an estimated $84 trillion is going to be passed down to the next generation. Trillion! That is going to create a wave of new collectors with just an unbelievable amount of buying power.
And here's the thing. These new collectors, they think differently. They're not just driven by pure investment. According to UBS, they care more about personal values, about social justice, about making an impact. They're also younger, more likely to be women, and they're interested in totally new types of art.
And even with the recent market cooldown, the super wealthy are signaling they're ready to get back in the game. A 2024 study from UBS found that about a third of billionaires plan to invest more in art and antiques. They see it as a solid, tangible thing to own in a pretty uncertain world.
When you combine all that new wealth with this totally new mindset, you could see a radical shift in what kind of art gets bought and sold, pushing tastes toward new artists and whole new aesthetics.
Which leaves us with this one big, fascinating question for the future. As this incredible amount of wealth changes hands, will this new generation keep the old markets going for the famous artists we all know? Or will their values, their tastes, and their vision create entirely new art worlds that we can't even imagine yet?